Hi, I'm Jake Porter, and I am the founder and president of Daring Ventures Counseling, Coaching, and Consultation in Houston, Texas. We're a practice that focuses on helping individuals and couples overcome the effects of trauma and addiction in their lives. I'm so honored that Joe asked me to be a part of this work and to share this video with you. And the topic that she threw at me is around the role of faith in the work that we do as practitioners and as practice owners. And that's a great question for any of us who consider ourselves people of faith. And I'm ready to take it on. I took Joe's questions that she sent me and put them right here. And she began with, does my faith inform my work? And I'd have to say absolutely. Here's the reason why. I cannot imagine being fully who I am without including my faith as a part of that mix. To try to isolate or set aside or in some way contain, compartmentalize that part of me from the rest of me would feel really inauthentic. And so it's part of who I am fully, and I believe that what makes any of us successful in our private practice is, at least in part, that we fully show up as who we are. We're all unique, we're all different. Maybe for some of you, faith is not a part of that. That's still, that about you is part of you showing up authentically. So my faith is such an important part of who I am and who I believe myself to be, that for me to not bring that into what I do would really feel like I'm holding back and I'm not showing up in an authentic way. And I absolutely am committed to the idea that me being fully present, authentically present with my clients is a huge part of what makes the work that we then do together effective and meaningful and healing for them. So yeah, my faith shows up. And just so some of you know a little bit about my background, before I was in private practice, I was a pastor. I was senior pastor of a local church for 13 years. The last couple of years that I pastored, I was doing clinical work on the side, or counseling work on the side, and then it's been about 3 years now since I resigned from pastoring and began doing this work full time. So faith has been a huge part of my career development and my path even to be here in my private practice. So it informs what I do, certainly. The next question she then asked me is is all of the therapy that I do Christian? Do I do Christian counseling? So here's a little secret, and some people aren't going to like what I have to say here, but I hate the term Christian counseling. What does that even mean? How is that defined? There is such a spectrum in our world today about what is meant or could be meant by that phrase, Christian counseling. I'm actually a little bit skeptical of putting the modifier Christian on anything. So here's what I would say. In one way, no, I don't do Christian counseling. If by that you mean I only use the Bible, I reject anything from modern counseling, psychology, or the mental health field and relevant research, no, that's not me. I would also say I don't do Christian counseling if you think that means you have to start with God, or you have to start with being born again, or you have to start with being a Christian before you can do any effective, meaningful work with a client. I don't do that. I don't do Christian counseling if that means that you get your clients to believe with you or like you, or at least similar to you, or change them and what they believe or where they are in their own faith or lack thereof. I don't do Christian counseling in that way. But I do believe that the work I do is very much Christian. And here's what I mean by that. First of all, if my clients share my faith, then it's absolutely brought up and in the room and talked about freely. And We talk scripture, we talk about spirituality. That's great. Okay. But even if they don't, I believe that when I show up accessible, open, responsive, empathic, when I create space for them, when I'm compassionate to them, when I have that unconditional positive regard, to use a good Rogerian term, I'm showing up as my higher power, as Jesus would. When I make space for them exactly as they are, I am being Christ-like. When I accept them as they are, I am being Christ-like. And in that way, the work I do, I think, would be Christian. I think the work I do is also Christian when I show up and challenge their conflicting or unhealthy or destructive, distorted thinking patterns or behaviors, just as, again, my model in the faith, Jesus, did himself. Strength and gentleness go hand in hand, or they should. I don't need to impose my values. I can be respectful. I can care for those who disagree with me. My clients all know exactly where I come from. In my informed consent, I actually state that I'm a Christian and that I approach this work from a Christian worldview and with a pastor's heart, and that doesn't mean, again, that I'm going to beat them over the head with the Bible, but that they know that that's where I'm coming from. And what that often does is that for many clients, it opens a door that even if they don't share their faith, they often ask me what I think. Now, I won't impose that, but if I'm invited to share, then I often do. If I believe that it's helpful and actually something that the client desires. So in that way, yeah, I do Christian therapy because I show up with my faith informing who I am, how I act, how I posture myself toward my clients, and informing the work that I do. So there are values that I bring to work. And here I know some people, this may raise some hairs with some people. We cannot, as mental health professionals, impose our values on others, and I would never seek to do that. That's not how Christ did it, not by sword, but through love. So I'm not going to try to use my power as a mental health therapist to impose values. I want to serve them. I want to love them. I want to compassionately care for them. I want to accept them and meet them exactly where they are. But none of us can actually or should actually divorce ourselves from our own set of values. So I am bringing my values into this work, that we should be people of healthy and whole relationships, that we should be people of love, and that we should be people of justice. So these are things that I do bring into my work, but from a place of being same as, from a place of care and love, and certainly only as my clients are open to those values. And I can do that. I can do that without quoting scripture or telling people that they have to believe in Jesus. So, one last question that Joe asked: what about working with people of other faiths or no faith? Well, I think I've mentioned here that I can absolutely do that, and do that as a Christian. Jesus didn't only hang out with people who knew him and followed him. He was respectful and loving and inviting toward all people, and we can do that as well. And here's the key, what I want to leave with. It's my belief that when I help any person move toward health and healing and flourishing in life, when they live with the grain of how God created the world and created us to live, that's honoring to him, and it's good for them. And that is good, wholesome, faith-based work to me. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate your time.